Chapter 5. The 7 Stages of Selling. Every salesperson knows this client, no matter what industry you're in. Sarah didn't want an apartment. She wanted a unicorn. The apartment she wanted just didn't exist, and nothing made her happy. I showed her 2 bedrooms on the Upper West Side, too small. 3 bedrooms in Long Island City, too big. I showed her apartments on low floors, too low. And then on high floors, Ryan, I can't live here. I have vertigo. But I was determined to find something she liked. It nearly killed me. During what was becoming a very long and drawn-out process, I made sure to pay attention to everything she liked and didn't like. She said yes to new construction, outdoor spaces, and open kitchens, and no to older buildings, low ceilings, and apartments with cats. The cat goes, but the kitty litter smell remains. She really liked an apartment on 23rd Street. Unfortunately, during the showing, we could hear the residents on the other side of the living room wall having sex. And whoever lived on the other side of the master bedroom was an avid video game player. A listing on the Upper East Side had a great terrace. But as we took in the view and she was about to make an offer, the guy next door climbed over his terrace right onto the one we were standing on to say hello. True story. Eventually, I found a new listing that ticked off every single box. No cats, sexy video gamers, or terrace hoppers. It had the right number of bedrooms, there was an outdoor space with a view, it was the penthouse but it wasn't too high up, and it had an open kitchen. We walked in, and instead of thanking me for being the best broker in the world because I had found her a unicorn with magic glitter rainbow wings, she took a quick look and said, "No, I don't feel it." She didn't feel it? I started to think I wasn't going to find Sarah an apartment, at least not before I hit retirement age. I hated the idea of giving up, but I couldn't find her anything she liked. The following week, I asked Sarah to meet me for a drink at a bar in Midtown because I had to cut ties with her or start taking blood pressure medication. When I got to the bar, we ordered our drinks, and I was getting ready to initiate a really awkward conversation when she suddenly said, "Hey, did you know there's a really good strip club right across the street? Let's go." It turns out that Sarah loves strip clubs. Really loves them. Sarah had a very successful career in the fitness industry. She was a workout fanatic and could probably do more push-ups than I could. Apparently, she appreciated an opportunity to check out other women's bodies. So, off to the strip club we went. Sarah was entranced by the display of washboard abs and well-cut biceps. To be clear, this wasn't a freaky sex thing. Sarah was like a professor doing research, curious and appreciative of the level of core strength it would take to perform an aerial invert on a pole. I never had the chance to break up with her because we were too busy pondering how many grams of lean protein these women ate daily. I learned something about Sarah that night. I realized that watching these young women was like a release. Perhaps it was even an escape from her own insecurities. She was older now, a mom, and recently divorced. Even though she was fit, Sarah told me she lamented the fact that she no longer had the body of a 21-year-old stripper. It's like the strip club empowered her and gave her an extra boost of motivation. We left at midnight, and Sarah went home to work out. I still planned to give Sarah some space, but the next day, I noticed a listing in Chelsea that seemed too good to be true. The price was low because the building was surrounded by new construction and they were having trouble selling. It had a good view, an outdoor space, and a great gym, but the kicker? It was next to a strip club. I knew if this didn't work, that nothing would, and I would have exhausted every possible option. It would be time to retire this ball. I gave Sarah an address and asked her to meet me there. I told her I had something to show her and she should prepare to be wowed. She had a big smile on her face when I arrived. "Ryan, I thought you were showing me an apartment. If you wanted to hang out at Scores, why didn't you just say so?" She looked a little confused when I led her through a doorway right next to the strip club. We got into the elevator and went up to the penthouse on the 12th floor, not high enough to give her vertigo. It was a beautiful apartment. Big rooms with a bright, open kitchen. Even better, it had a private rooftop cabana with an outdoor kitchen. While the interior space wasn't as big as she would have liked, she was happy with all the positives, including the proximity to Scores. She made an offer that day. She had found her perfect home. Serhant's secret number 12. Checking boxes is for to-do lists, not for getting deals done. When Sarah said no to the initial apartment with the view that I thought was perfect for her, I wanted to jump right off the balcony I had worked so hard to find. It ticked off the boxes, but she didn't feel it. Checking boxes doesn't get deals done. Good salespeople know what to expect from clients during every phase of the deal because they are in tune with their clients' emotions as they pass through each phase. Sarah was nervous about her apartment search and kept hoping there would be something better. This wasn't just a decision about an apartment, it was about her future. I realized these were the same feelings she tapped into at the strip club. I wasn't struggling to find Sarah an apartment because she was difficult, but because she was disappointed. She had hit that stage in the sale. When I was able to empathize with what she was feeling, I was able to guide her to the right place and get a deal. When we found her a perfect home, one that made Sarah feel comfortable to make such a big purchase, she was able to commit. There's often an underlying element that moves a person into a comfort zone of buying. I had a client who insisted on living downtown, wouldn't venture above 23rd Street for anything except the opera. When an apartment came up that sounded ideal for her at Lincoln Plaza, I was convinced the proximity to the opera would be the bonus element that would make her fall in love. She was reluctant, but when I showed her the apartment and guided her over to the window, I saw her eyes light up. There was a view of Lincoln Center's famous fountain. She could practically hear the music from the opera house right in her living room. This was the moment when everything clicked together. Of course, she bought it. Ultimately, in every sale, there's always the same emotional cycle, which ranges from excitement and disappointment to happiness and relief. To manage a lot of balls, you must be ready to handle every part of the cycle and know which stage each ball is in. It's like a brewing storm that you must be prepared for. Tornadoes don't just pop out of nowhere. There are usually warning signs. Rain, high winds, flying cows. This is true whether someone is buying a wedding dress or a pair of skis. Good salespeople learn to anticipate what direction a deal will go, and they understand how each stage of the sale will help them get deals done faster. The goal is to emerge from the messiest of sales, even as ruinous as an F5, aka the Hand of God tornado, unscathed. The stages of every sale. As a real estate broker, I've seen it all. Nothing surprises me anymore, ever. Except that one time when a client gave me an adorable baby pig as a gift. I did not see that coming. But every sale I make runs through the same 7 stages. There is nothing new. Shopping, whether it's for a home or for a pair of shoes, is more about mastering the 7 stages of selling than a need. Footnote. I resort to shoe buying examples frequently as I am a very experienced shoe shopper. End footnote. Sure, we all need shoes and a place to live. Humans require shelter. And I don't know about where you live, but the streets in New York City are disgusting and I'd rather die than touch them with my bare feet. But if shopping for a home or a pair of shoes or a massage, or anything at all, really, were only about need, it would never take more than a couple of minutes to purchase anything. The thing is, no one ever walks into a shoe store barefoot. Chances are, most people own at least one pair of shoes, and technically, you only need one pair to protect your feet from freezing cold temperatures and sharp, rusty nails. People walk into a shoe store because buying more shoes fulfills a want. The entire process of buying a product, any product, is the same with every transaction. Some transactions are just quicker than others. Some jump around the chart a little. But 95% of the time, every deal follows the same stages of selling I'm going to outline for you now. If you learn to anticipate what customers will likely do during each stage of the sale, you'll be in a great position to use the appropriate tool to anticipate your next move and keep the sale moving toward a close. Stage 1. Excitement. Remember Campbell Killian from the Master of Follow-Up chapter? I sold his combined penthouse with the weird layout after I had a party in it for babies. Well, later, I had the good fortune to help him buy his dream home, and he had a budget of $20 million. Campbell was smitten when he saw the apartment. This was it. It was in a beautiful building on Park Avenue with 15-foot ceilings. He could imagine making pancakes for his kids in the gourmet kitchen or watching the sunset over the city on his gigantic terrace while drinking phenomenally expensive scotch. Campbell was pumped. Then he heard the price. The asking price was $40 million. And this apartment was my wow stop. I told him there was a similar apartment on a lower floor with lower ceilings for less. But Campbell had seen the light and there was no going back, even if he was spending more than he planned. We offered $30 million, but settled at $36. Back to being pumped. In the excitement stage, a buyer is focusing on all of the positives of the product and how it will change their lives for the better. They're falling in love. Signs you're in the excitement stage include comments such as, "I love this. Oh my God, I'm so happy I'm getting this. This is the greatest day of my life." Fist pumps, tears of joy. Stage 2, frustration. Enter complications. The contract was difficult to negotiate. The seller was really tough and fought back on every concession Campbell wanted. Did I mention the building wasn't even built yet? It adds to the frustration when the product, apartment, car, custom-made sofa, doesn't actually exist yet. Campbell was starting to feel this apartment wasn't worth all the trouble. Uh-oh, the tornado alarm has sounded. In the frustration stage, the buyer's focused on the negatives. They're suddenly seeing everything that is wrong with the product. They haven't pulled out of the deal, but they're annoyed. This phase could also be called the blame phase, since most buyers start to blame other people. Most often that's us, for their frustration. Signs you're in the frustration stage include impatient phone calls and texts, emails asking why things are taking so long, threats to back out of the deal. Stage 3, fear. Campbell's frustration blossomed into full-fledged fear when the seller refused to contractually agree to what the decibel level would be in the apartment that was not yet built. He worried he was overpaying. If the seller was being difficult about decibel levels, he must be hiding something. He feared the super high ceilings weren't high enough. Ultimately, he questioned whether he was making a bad investment. Campbell convinced himself there was an equally amazing apartment just waiting to be found, so he killed the deal. Though it had been love at first sight, he decided to walk away from his dream apartment with its cozy pancake breakfast and stunning sunsets. We started the process over and started looking at more apartments. Fear had touched down like a tornado and was destroying everything in its wake. An interesting development. In this case, fear actually revived the deal. It soon became clear that Campbell just couldn't love any other apartments the way he loved the Park Avenue apartment. His fear morphed from, "I can't commit to this," to, "Ryan, what have I done? I've made a horrible mistake. Can you please help me win her back?" You know how what goes up must come down? In sales, it's the opposite. What is down? Prices, deals, a client's emotional state must go back up. Only once a client has entered the fear stage are they emotionally ready to climb back up the ladder of positivity and make a deal. Out of all that fear comes a positive result. In the fear stage, the buyer starts to feel afraid of what he's taken on. Can I handle this? Did I spend too much? Do I really need this? They are actively questioning their decision to make the purchase. Signs you're in the fear stage include angry, incessant phone calls and texts, emails in the middle of the night featuring multiple exclamation points, swearing, yelling, more tears, but now the sad and angry kind. Stage 4, disappointment. Good news, the apartment was still available. The seller was still open to doing the deal and even agreed to some vague language regarding the sound levels in the apartment. They made it official. they signed the contract. But before a bottle of champagne could be uncorked, disappointment reared its very ugly and incredibly annoying head. The minute the paperwork was signed, Campbell worried again that he had spent too much. How did he go $16 million over his budget? He told his bank not to send the wire for the down payment. He was disappointed and had to think. Ugh, stage 4 is the worst. In the disappointment stage, the magnitude of the purchase starts to weigh on the buyer. They start to seem overwhelmed, anxious, and distant. Signs you're in the disappointment stage include the client feeling regret and remorse, forgetting that this apartment, car, wedding gown, etc. was the one that made them feel all tingly inside, and ignoring your texts and emails. Stage 5. Acceptance. Campbell came to terms with what he knew from the beginning. This was his apartment, and no other could match it. He made the deposit, and he needed to move forward. His wife thought the apartment was light years beyond even her wildest dreams, and this made him happy. Back to visions of pancakes and cocktails. I also reminded him of how hard we fought for the best deal. He was now both calm and pumped. Stage 5 is a pretty good place to be. In the acceptance stage, the positives start to flow back. The buyer starts to remember the journey they've gone through to procure this amazing item. The fear melts away and the joy slides back. Signs you're in the acceptance phase include happy spouses and children in for pop-up office visits, thank you notes or gifts, peace, quiet, and calm. Stage 6. Happiness. The more Campbell thought about his totally insane new apartment, the more excited he got about the idea of moving in. The next chapter of his life will begin in his dream home. He's like a little kid awaiting his birthday, crossing off days on the calendar. He can't wait for the big moment. In the happiness stage, the customer is bursting with excitement. The joy is on par with the last day of school, Christmas morning, or the day your mom says, "Fine, you can get a puppy." Signs you're in the acceptance phase include constant emails about when the product will arrive. They connect you to their friends who they think should buy from you. And the happiness phase is the best time to ask for referrals. Stage 7. Relief. Shortly after Campbell closed on his apartment, someone bought the one directly above his for $45 million. $9 million more than he paid. Markets come and markets go, but Campbell felt relieved that he bought his dream home when he did. The time was right. In the relief stage, the customer is now comfortable with the purchase. Any obstacles faced, all the highs and lows, no longer matter. The purchase was also their idea the whole time. Ha ha! Imagine that. Signs you're in the relief stage include bragging, boasting. It's such a good thing I bought that when I did. I can't believe that guy paid even more than me. What a sucker. The Serhant Toolkit of Emotions. We all know that sales are usually bumpy. I will always do everything in my power to close a deal. But there are times when there is nothing I can do to save it. It's DOA, dead on arrival. I have to let it go. Most sales are messy, but I've created a toolbox to help. It's full of different techniques I use to smooth over difficult situations and gently guide clients through the stages of the sale. There's no one single solution for each problem a salesperson will face because every sale is different. But I've learned that these tools can be effective in many different situations. When a client is being difficult or is MIA, maybe they're in the frustration stage. 9 out of 10 times, if a client is bursting with excitement about a purchase, be ready to tackle the fear phase because it's right around the corner and will be arriving soon. If you find yourself in a situation where you need to guide your client to a different place, use these tools. We've all been there. When I'm working on a particularly tough deal, where the sale is full of drama, so gut-wrenching my client deserves to be nominated for a Tony, I remind myself to be empathetic. I'm a salesperson, but that doesn't mean I'm immune to the stages of the sale. None of us are. It can help to remember that we've all been there. We've all wanted to buy something and have ended up riding a roller coaster of emotions. When I started selling more apartments, I decided I deserved a nice watch. Every successful person who bought an apartment from me wore a great watch. My boss went with me to the watch store on Madison Avenue, where I proceeded to go through every stage of the sale just like my clients. Finally, I saw it. A nice, shiny Breitling. Oh, hello, beautiful watch. Then I saw the price. I was like, what is wrong with you, boss? Why would you bring me here? These prices are crazy. But I love it. Only to be followed by, wait, this city is probably full of beautiful watches. I must see them all. But I love this one. Finally, I bought it, then promptly felt sick that I'd spent all that money. Surely I could have gotten a better deal, but then I put it on and it looked fantastic. Thank God I bought it. I could be walking around town wearing a Swatch. Who would hire that guy to sell his apartment? I went through every single stage of the sale in a span of 30 minutes. Buying something is an emotional experience. So remember this when you're in the messy middle of a tough sale. Put yourself in your client's shoes. Talk to them. Listen to them. Try saying, "We've all been there. I sympathize with what you're going through. I understand how hard these decisions can be. This is the hard part. It's going to get easier. We are in this together." I love selling brownstones, but these deals can be delicate. If I'm not extra attentive, these deals can die a quick and violent death via an inspector or an attorney. It is an inspector's job to find problems, and there is just no such thing as a problem-free brownstone. Most of them are really old. If I know an inspection is about to take place, I'll talk to the buyer about what they should expect. I assure them that when the inspector comes back with a gloom and doom story about a 7-year-old furnace, there's no reason to panic. And if I didn't do this, they would kill the deal the second they heard the words like lead paint. I assure clients that we can address these issues in the contract and that there's no need to flee the city for a nice split-level ranch somewhere in the Midwest. To keep things running smoothly throughout every stage of the sale, I'm as upfront as possible, and I set expectations. I'm preparing the customer for possible outcomes and assuring them that we will tackle these challenges together. It's almost like a doctor-patient relationship. Sure, your doctor is probably a genius, but that's not what makes you feel good about her ability to help you if you break all your toes in a freak bowling accident. It's her knowledge. You're confident she'll fix your toes. She's assured you she's up to the task, and you're in it together until you hobble out of the hospital on crutches. When times get tough in any kind of sale, you need to have a doctor-patient level relationship. Your clients need to know they can turn to you for help, and you'll be with them until the problem is solved. Try saying, "We are in this together. I'll be with you until this is finished. I'm here for you throughout this entire process. If there's a problem, we'll figure it out together, one step at a time." The indecisive client. Push, pull, and persist. Some people would rather exist in a dark, murky state of limbo than make a decision. Decision-making is often hard and uncomfortable. It's much easier to just sit on your couch binge-watching Black Mirror than it is to take action. If you're in sales, inaction is enemy number one. There is nothing more worrisome to a salesperson than indecision. It can stall or even kill a deal. To combat this mortal enemy, I use a combination of push, pull, and persistence to guide clients to the next stage of the sale. The push. Barking orders at clients is a good way to freak them out and get them to either buy from someone else or simply avoid you. While we can't dictate what a client should do, we can push. We can ease them off their ultra-comfy sofa of indecision. The push is gentle but firm, and it can be just the thing that gets the client unstuck and ready to make a purchase. Ways to use the push include offer incentives. While I certainly don't want to be viewed as Ryan Serhant discount broker, I have made deliberate decisions to lower my commission to get a listing I wanted or to get a deal done. Think about what else you can offer a client to get them to take action today. Is the awesome suit they're hesitating to buy going on sale tomorrow? Tell them about the sale and that you'll speak with your manager about getting them the sale price today. Sometimes adding a small incentive is just the thing that will tip a customer to yes. Offer 2 for 1. Offer free shipping. Small incentives create more sales, and I'd much rather make $10 than no dollars. Create urgency. We all know that people tend to want things they can't have. Is the handbag they're looking at the last one in stock? Create urgency by sharing that nugget of information. Obviously, you need to know what kind of urgency you can reasonably create. If a guy is trying on a sweater that he's picked up out of a pile of 100, he clearly knows it's not the last one. Create urgency a different way. Maybe say, "Are you going out tonight? That looks great on you. You should wear it." The pull. The pull is what it sounds like. Pulling an item away from a client to prompt them to move forward. It can be very effective if done right. To execute the pull, you must use grace. It's not like ripping off a Band-Aid. I often use the pull when selling very, very expensive apartments. There are moments when a client is hesitating and I have to say, "This is really expensive. It might be too expensive for you. Let's look at less expensive options." This move results in an instant gut check. It's like hitting the reset button on a frozen iPhone. The gut check causes the client to realize that yes, this is what they want, and yes, they can afford it. The pull isn't just for expensive items. It's also a great tool to use when you know a product is wrong for a customer. That's when you, the salesperson, get to come in and save the day. "Oh, you're interested in buying a chinchilla for your kid's birthday? Have you considered a guinea pig? They are considered the best first pet for children because they are so friendly and easy to care for." When that parent realizes she made the better choice and it's all because you pulled her away from the chinchilla, she'll come back to you when her other child wants a pet rattlesnake. Persist. In some cases, neither the push nor the pull is quite right. In these instances, a salesperson needs to persist. You're not actively pushing and you're not pulling back, but you are reminding them that the product they're considering is perfect for them. Recently, I had a client who was $100,000 away from closing a deal for an apartment on the Upper West Side. He refused to move up if the seller wouldn't come down. I knew that the apartment was actually priced right. To have come down from the asking price would have been underselling it, and I knew that. I persisted with my client. Every 2 days, I sent him a message about the deal. One message would be about how I'm trying to hold it for him. Another message would be about a new comp sale that justified the asking price. A third message would be my suggesting he see it again. He agreed to take another look. We talked about his issues, and it was clear he was in the fear stage. I used my tools to get what was down back up, and he bought it for $9 million. Footnote. Only in New York City will a $9 million deal fall apart over essentially 1%. That's insane. But it's important to remember here that this isn't ultimately about the money. It is always about the emotions. End footnote. The element of surprise. The element of surprise can give you the upper hand when guiding a client through the stages of the sale. To be clear, I'm not talking about throwing a party or dressing up in a clown suit and popping out from behind a bush yelling, "Surprise!" That would be terrifying, and scaring a customer to death is a terrible idea. When my team uses surprise, we're incorporating an unexpected element into the process to help move things along. We do this by how we present information or manage expectations. There are many situations where a salesperson has to present unpleasant information. In my world, that usually means a buyer has backed out of a deal. When this happens, I will milk every resource I have to find a new buyer as soon as possible. This means I can call up a client and say, the bad news is that your buyer backed out because he decided to join a competitive curling team in Moscow. But the good news is I got you another offer. The bad news is instantly replaced by the good news. For people who sell other things, this could mean that a product won't be ready on time or an order was placed incorrectly. Instead of calling up your customer and dropping the bad news, take time to think about what little surprise you can add to remedy the situation and maintain the relationship. I'm so sorry that your order won't be received on time. Please know that I've reduced my commission to make this a better deal for you. You get free shipping and 20% off your next order. Sometimes, surprise comes in the simple form of exceeded expectations. Sales is customer service. Never forget that. There are countless ways to show clients that you value your relationship. Surprise clients with your tenacity, persistence, empathy, and hard work. My team goes above and beyond in this department. Ryan, you need to call Jackson Hitchcock now. He's in full-fledged stage 3. Fear. You must save him. Then you need to email Casey Monroe. She's in stage 4. Disappointment. But I'm anticipating a quick recovery and she should be up to stage 5. Acceptance in no time. But you'll need to check in with her. My assistant, Jordan, is like a triage nurse. He knows the signs of each stage and can detect if a client is slipping from stage 2 into the dreaded stage 3. He knows which case is the most dire and requires my immediate attention. Knowing where my clients are in the process emotionally is invaluable to me. I'm not jumping on a phone call blindly. Jordan has prepared me for what I'm about to face so I can be ready to handle the situation with the most appropriate tool. Knowing that Jackson Hitchcock has reached the fear stage of the sale, I can think about what I can say or do to reassure him and get him safely across the finish line to a done deal and a champagne toast in his new apartment. If Casey Monroe has hit disappointment, I can raise her spirits by sharing the news that the same exact apartment she just bought 1 floor higher has sold for $300,000 more than hers. Toss her that little element of surprise, and she's well on her way to feeling relieved that she got such a great deal. If I didn't pay attention to my client's emotional needs, a great big pile of sad and lonely balls would inevitably come crashing down, and it would be hard to get them back in the air. These are deals that would have been done if I had been doing my job correctly. Learning to recognize these crucial stages that exist in nearly every sale can help you keep your balls in play. The Serhant Way. Understanding and learning to identify the 7 stages of the sale will not only help you close deals faster, but it will make your life much easier. 1. Excitement. Wow, I love this. I better get ready because my life is about to change. 2. Frustration. Wait, I can't control every part of this. Who can I take out my frustrations on? I know, the guy who is selling me the suit, car, refrigerator, or engagement ring. 3. Fear. What if I find something better? What if there's a better deal to be had? Is this the best thing for me? 4. Disappointment. I did it. I spent all that money. I know I could have done better. 5. Acceptance. Well, hell, I did it. Life is short. 6. Happiness. Actually, this is going to be awesome. I'm happy about this. 7. Relief. I am so glad that's over. It was definitely the right thing to do. The Serhant Toolkit of Emotions. Empathy. We've all been there. Put yourself in their shoes. Assurance. We are in this together. Reassurance that you are in it until the end. The 3 Ps. Push. Gentle prodding. Pull. Gentle taking away. Persist. Consistent reminders that this is the best product. The element of surprise. How can you present the information in the best light? Make a positive sandwich. Stick the negative between two pieces of positive. Sure, the negative is the real meat of the sandwich, but you can't get to it without biting into the delicious positives first. What actions can you take to surprise clients with your dedication?